Welcome to the first season of the Ninth Grade Experience podcast. I'm your host, Chris Rohrbach. As a teacher of freshmen and one of our freshman mentor committee faculty advisors, I spend a lot of my school day helping students navigate the successful transition from middle school to the halls of Emmaus High School. The goal of this podcast is to give you the story of the ninth grade here at Emmaus High School through the people who live it daily, the students and staff. We will attempt to touch on the real issues and stories that ninth grade students face, ranging from academics to athletics to technical school, and just trying to find your way as one person in a community of approximately 2,700 students. We will also look to speak with some of the influential staff members who play a key part in a student's ninth grade year. It's the hope that future ninth grade students and their families can use the tips and insights provided here to begin making connections to their new school and learn more about the day-to-day lives of the students that they one day will become and realize from day one that ninth grade counts. You can learn more about this episode and all the episodes of Season 1 on the website, while you can also follow us on Twitter at EHSFMC or at Chris Rohrbach, or the hashtag EHS9Counts. But before we jump into today's topic, let's thank our sponsor for this show, the East Penn Education Foundation. This podcast has been made possible through a $1,000 grant awarded to teachers like me each year who are attempting to do unique projects in the area of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. The foundation supports programs that put learning in motion by giving students the tools they need to think actively in a complex and changing world. You can follow them on Facebook at East Penn Education Foundation, on Twitter at EPSD EdFound, or Instagram at EPSD Ed Foundation. Now on to the show. Everyone knows how difficult the transition to high school can be. But what if you were doing it 2 times a day in 2 different locations? For our ninth grade students who are attending Lehigh Career and Technical Institute, they have lived that reality this year by needing to adjust to multiple bus rides, 2 sets of building expectations, various schedules, and 3:15 returns back to Emmaus High School. They have done all this while balancing their core academic classes and the potential to learn about careers that could shape their future. In this episode, you will hear the stories of Ainsley Waldrab, Brenden Aldinger, and Chris Rohrbach, who have taken on these challenges, been successful both at LCTI and EHS, and have even gained Student of the Month recognition in their labs. These students will tell the stories of why they chose to attend LCTI, the importance of finding the lab that interests you and breaking out of your comfort zone in order to learn more about yourself, and the careers around you. It's time to roll up your sleeves and get ready for some hands-on work as we hear from Ainsley, Brenden, and Chris. Welcome to this episode of the Ninth Grade Experience podcast. Today, we're going to focus on LCTI, and we have 3 freshmen here who have been at LCTI all year long, and they're going to give you a little bit of their story about what their year's been like, and give you some of that ninth grade experience. So we're going to go around the table here. They're going to introduce themselves. They're going to talk about which lab they're in, and we actually have 3 award-winning LCTI students here today. So they may sound a little humble, but they're actually really good students up there. So we're going to start with Brenden. So go ahead.
Hi, I'm Brenden Aldinger. I'm from Precision Machining, and I'm in 9th grade.
Hi, I'm Chris Rohrbach. I'm in Diesel Technology.
Hello, I'm Ainsley Waldrab, and I'm in the Culinary Arts.
So soft-spoken yet strong in their labs here. So we're going to get them to open up a little bit about what's life like at LCTI. And we're going to start off like we start off every one of these podcasts with the question of, so what was your ninth grade experience like this year? You guys have the unique opportunity to have 2 different schools you transitioned to, and kind of wanted to hear a little bit about how that went and how did you guys manage that. So who wants to start us off by telling us about their ninth grade year at Emmaus and LCTI?
I'll go. The year is, when you start off at EHS, it's a little hard. You're coming to a new school. It's bigger. It's bigger than the middle schools. And then when you're going to another school, it's even harder because then you got to make more friends. Sometimes your friends aren't in your rotations or your lab. And sometimes it's just all around hard because you don't have people that have the same interest as you.
Yeah, transitioning into one school is difficult, but now that you have to go to LCTI on top of that, it kind of brings in a whole new variety of people you meet and things that you're doing. And it's a big change, so when you go in, you have to be ready and you have to expect what you're going for, and you have to be prepared for what lab you want, and you have to keep that in mind while going to LCTI, because if you don't know what you want to do, you should keep that in mind, because if you know more, then you'll be better prepared.
Yeah, I mean, I think the beginning of the year was definitely tricky with bouncing between two new schools, but I think maybe the most difficult thing were not necessarily, once you fall into a regular routine, it's fine, but like the off days where things were slightly different and, maybe not all your teachers knew exactly what things were going to be like for LCTI students.
And we'll talk more about your scheduling and those kinds of things later on, but I want you to think back. We're in May of 2019 right now, but I want you to think back to May of 2018. Last year you were all at the middle school. We'll talk about which middle school you were at, but I want you to think back to what did you think that high school would be like, and at that point had you all decided that you were going to go to LCTI, and what did you expect LCTI to be like? Because we have a lot of upcoming ninth graders listening to this, and they kind of maybe have those same wonders about what is Emmaus going to be like and what is LCTI going to be like. So put yourselves back in May of last year, and what were you thinking?
Well, personally, I was a little on the fence about whether or not I was going to go to LCTI. So that was a little bit more of a last-minute decision for me personally. Just because I wasn't sure if I personally was going to have a lot of difficulty with adjusting, just because it takes me some time to get used to things. So I had not necessarily made the commitment yet. I was a little worried about stressing my counselor out, just if I was going to be going back and saying new things. But but in regards to what my expectations were for this year, I didn't necessarily have a whole lot of expectations going in. I was definitely looking forward to it, but I wasn't sure what to expect from the high school or LCTI really. I would say the difference in expectations, or the difference going from like the middle school to the high school, would mainly be like size. So. Mm-hmm.
And which middle school were you at?
I went to Ira Middle School.
And how about you guys? What middle school were you at?
We both went to LMS.
So we have both of the middle schools represented here in this conversation, which is always good. So you were obviously coming from larger schools, or coming to these larger schools, and especially LCTI, where we have, I don't even know the number, but I think it's like 12 schools from around the Lehigh Valley that send students. So you're not only dealing with new students from Emmaus and East Penn, but you're dealing with them from Parkland and Allentown and all the other districts that come too. So kind of a lot of transition and a lot of change there, especially with the size. So how about you guys? Like when you were thinking about this, I know you guys have been there all year too. So what were you thinking about at this time last year when you were getting ready? Did you have the same doubts there that Ainsley had, or were you all ready to go and be up there?
So over the summer, in my experience, I heard about LCTI, so I decided I wanted to sign up and try it. And I heard that it was more hands-on, and you could stand and you could walk around, you could do things, not just sit at a desk all day. And I've always been one of those kids who doesn't always just like to sit at a desk and learn. I'd rather experience them for myself. So when I heard about LCTI over the summer, I knew I wanted to do this. Like, I knew it was for me. And then when I went to LCTI, it was amazing. Everything I learned there so far, it was just exactly what I thought it was going to be. And the lab I'm in now, I didn't even know that it existed. I went there expecting to go into HVAC or masonry, and when I experienced rotations, I decided that machinery was the best thing for me, and I met a lot of new good people there that came from all different schools, like you said, and it's just a big learning experience.
So we're going to talk about rotations in a second, but Chris, how about you? What was your thoughts coming into high school and LCTI?
My thoughts were on I was gonna be very lonely. I never thought I'd be at the position I am in right now. I'm one of the top kids in my class, and I've never thought that I would be there. I always just thought in middle school in like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade that there was never going to be an opportunity for me, and I never understood how people did this job or did all these other things, and it's just an opportunity that that they're pretty much giving you, and you're getting it for free. So, I mean, if you really want to take your ball and put it in your hand and run with it, then I think LCTI is the best place for you. And if you want to learn and be hands-on instead of sitting at a desk from 7:25 to 2:45, 2:30, I mean, then you can do that. But if you want to be hands-on and doing stuff, then you can go to LCTI.
And let's talk about real quick. Brenden mentioned rotations. Can you explain to the listener what, and anyone can take this, what are rotations and what does that look like at the very beginning of the school year?
Yeah, so when you first come to LCTI, your first day there, you're going to be going through 3 of the 6 of your 6 top picks for the classes or courses that you might want to take there. And then for the next, 6 weeks after that, you're going through 3 different courses, and then at the end of that, you get to choose which one you want to be in for the next for the rest of the year.
I might also want to add that there's some kids out there that are just strictly on one topic. Like, we have a lot of things for cars, and then we got small engine, and we got diesel and all that. I would say don't stick just to that. Try to get to other things. I had done that, and when my mom had talked me out of it, and she had gotten me to go to other classes to see what I would like carpentry, HVAC, small engine. She had me go to those instead of just staying in the auto tech wing. And I think that was a great experience, and that helped me really understand where I want to be at right now.
Yeah, definitely. Just like I said before, my lab, I didn't even know I was going to choose it when I did. So rotations, you got to choose different things and be aware that you might like something that you didn't think you would. And that's the whole point of LCTI. It's you go into a career path and you learn a lot of new things, and you might learn something new that you never thought you'd like to know. And like, rotations is the best way to do that. So go to the open houses, things like that. If you want to go to LCTI, check out everything they have, maybe pick your favorites, and if you see what you like, go through the rotations, and always keep an open mind, because you never know what you're going to like. And just say you like carpentry, that might change. You might not like carpentry anymore when you go there. You might pick up something different and have a whole new mindset towards what you like.
So, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just to kind of bounce off of what they were saying, I mean, I totally agree with that. For me personally, like this, part of the reason that I wanted to do that, to go to LCTI, was to kind of see what I could work in professionally, because kind of like what Brenden was saying, you could think that you're going to like something, but then when you're in the real world, hands-on aspect of that thing, you might not necessarily enjoy it in the way that you thought you would. So being able to vary your choices and to be able to look at a variety of different things, I think, is very beneficial.
Yeah, and I think I've actually done a few tours at LCTI, and I think that a lot of students don't understand the range of things that are available to them up there, and just how really good the programs are. Especially when I toured, they were in the process, or they were talking to us about building the brand new welding facility, multi-million-dollar welding facility. So just these different trades and skills that, maybe weren't always talked about or maybe emphasized are now coming back, and we're really trying to get students to really think about those. So in that, why don't you we'll limit you to about 30 seconds, so you're going to do your best sales pitch now for the lab that you are currently in. And all of you, and if you want to also add in, that you were a student of the month in your lab, for your particular thing. So I'm going to limit you to 30 seconds. I have a timer right here. So we're going to see what you can tell us about your lab and what you've kind of learned throughout the time so far this year. So who wants to lead off that one?
I can go.
All right. Timer's on.
Right now, we are in diesel technology, and right now most of us are going through the first quarter, your stage 1, and there's tasks that you have to complete to move on. And if you do not complete those tasks, you can't move on. So your first year, it's hard, and our lab is just a lot of hard work and good accomplishments.
Okay, so I always joke with people that I missed the gene of being good with cars and good with being hands-on. So for people that don't know, what is diesel? You said diesel a couple of times. So what are you doing in the diesel lab?
Diesel lab is, if you see those big trucks on the road that are carrying these big trailers on the back, those are like diesel trucks. They're designed to carry heavier equipment, bigger loads, and it just saves time and money pretty much.
Okay. All right, so we heard a little bit about diesel. Who wants to go next?
So I'm in precision machining, like I said before.
Yep.
And it's honestly like an amazing lab. You do a lot of things in there. Most of it is getting your measurements on pieces that you use to exact points, and then you use those pieces and you build things and you can create things with them. And for me, I'm also a level 1, and right now we have to complete tests to prove ourselves to move on and get better, and that's...
So what kinds of, when you say precision machinery, so give me an example of something you use, or what do you make, or something that just the average person that's listening will be like, oh yeah, that is something that is made in your lab, or something that you would have your hands in working on.
So basically everything is machined, from the pen that you use at school to the toothbrush you use at home. So it's just how it's machined. Most of the stuff we use in our lab is machined with metal, like by metal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, a pen. Like, you can make a lot of things that you wouldn't think that we would make, but we do.
Have you had the opportunity to make anything this year that you've been able to take with you?
Yeah, I've made a lot of things. Some parts we just made to show that we can make those parts, like certain measurements and things we have to do to them. But other parts we make for fun, and so I have capsules, and I have clamps that I've made, and I just made a huge project just a little bit ago. It's like a air engine, just a whole bunch of stuff you can make that you can bring home, something to show for.
Awesome. Now we're going to kick it to Ainsley, who has, I think, the easiest of the 3 labs to explain, but I think it's going to be a little bit more in-depth than what you might think. So Ainsley, why don't you tell us what lab you're in?
So I'm in the culinary arts, and kind of going off of that, I'm going to dispel a few myths here. So despite what some of my classmates might think, we do not just cook things, as I've heard it said. So there's a lot of technical training with different pieces of equipment that we do. There is, obviously we are cooking things, but it's a lot of learning different techniques and skills that we have to know going forward. So there's a lot of precision knife skills that we work on.
Mm-hmm. It's
also a lot of training and testing in regards to safety, sanitation, things like that. So to go forward in the lab at some point, you have to pass the ServSafe certification. Otherwise, you can't continue to work in the lab. So.
And are you part of the group there that also provides, I forget exactly what they provide, but to one of the cafeterias there at LCTI? Are you involved with that, or is that the baking department?
No. So the way that works, we have a restaurant in the school, so we do different catering events.
Oh, okay.
And I am not a part of that because I'm a level 1 right now, and as a level 1, I can't. I mean, we do certain things for the upper levels, for their catering events, but we're not necessarily we're not in the biggest parts of that. So we maybe make a few different things that are going to be going into that. But for the large part, no. And with the commercial baking class, they have a bakery up there. So none of us currently cater to the cafeteria.
Okay. So I was a little bit off on what I remember from being up there, but I just remember being up there and everyone talking about the bakery and buying the goods from the students up there. So we're running up to the end of the time here. So I have 2 more questions. One question always seems to come up, and it's kind of one of those weird ones, but it's part of your life every day. Talk about the bus ride from Emmaus to LCTI and coming back home. Every year I hear that the bus is terrible. That's the worst part. Is the bus as bad as it seems? And do you have any tips or strategies on how to avoid the drama on the bus?
Honestly, if you just want to avoid all of that, I would just say bring headphones, because there are kids that do start drama. There is always that annoying kid that always tries to talk to you. There's always those kind of people. There's always the people in the back that are rowdy, which is me, so I can't really be saying anything too bad.
All right, at least you're calling yourself out. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, it's really not bad. As long as you got friends with you and you're talking to them, it's not as bad as it seems.
Oh. So I think the biggest thing with the buses is just, as Emmaus students, we have a different schedule than all of the other schools that go up there, which I think is the biggest frustration. So we get there later than all of the other schools do. Most of the schools show up at 11:45, and that's typically around that time that we leave here. So that, I would say, is the biggest thing. And on Wednesdays, we're especially late.
Yeah.
But the bus ride itself is not really a big problem. I mean, maybe I can't say much because I just listen to music and read books. But it's not a big deal for me. I think it's kind of nice to have something to break up the day, just like a little bit of time to unwind. But
The one thing I have with the buses is that you get home every day, 2:40, around 3 o'clock, because we get there and everyone gets dismissed at EHS at 2:25, and we usually get back around 3:15. And I honestly, myself, I don't really like getting back that late, but I guess it's just what you get to be there longer, so in the end it's okay. But
yep, and that is the freshman schedule is you do come back at 3:15, but next year I believe you're at 3:15 again too when you come back. But that junior year is the year that you go up there during the early morning and then come back for the rest of the day.
You can choose whether you want to go up in the morning or afternoon. We have seniors right now that are going in the afternoon at regular time that freshmen are going. So pretty much you can just choose.
So you do
your
get
schedule.
a little bit of choice there.
Yeah.
So you guys have done a great job talking about LCTI, talking about your transition here to Emmaus High School. So we're going to close up with just if you have any sort of tip or words of advice for the student out there that's thinking about LCTI, that maybe is a little bit hesitant on it, what would you recommend to that student, and what should they be looking for as they start their 9th grade year at LCTI next year?
I would say if you're a troublemaker and you love to fight and do all that, I wouldn't do that anymore, because up there you fight, you're out, you lose your opportunity. But you can come back if they see that you've changed. Try not to be like a drama queen, dramatic. I mean, they definitely don't want to deal with your little hissy fits and all that. They got bigger things to do, because over there they do get you a job either late in 11th grade or 12th grade, and they got just bigger things to worry on than you starting a whole drama scene about she stole your boyfriend, he stole that,
Yeah.
Yeah, so adding on to that, I think that LCTI is an amazing opportunity, and you can learn a lot of new things, and you can start a career path, and you can make a lot of money off of it. So you definitely don't want to waste your opportunity on, fighting, doing anything like that. You don't want to get into trouble. This is an opportunity, and this is this is, what do I want to say?
It's like the rest of your life here. You got the opportunity to get yourself a career and get yourself out there. Is that?
Yeah.
Take the ball and run with it.
Yeah, that was what you said earlier. Take the ball and run with it. So we have one. We'll let Ainsley take us out here with her words of advice here about LCTI.
Well, as with what they've said, nobody wants to, neither teachers nor students want to deal with you if you're going to be a total drama queen who never listens. Because everybody is trying to get their own stuff done. There's a lot of stuff that you need to be doing there. And so if you're in the way of everybody else working, you're not going to have a good time. But I think one of the biggest things is one that we've already talked about, which is, vary yourself a little bit. Try some new things that you might not have otherwise been inclined to do. Even if you think you know exactly what you want to do, try different things for your rotation. Just get out there a little bit and try some new things, because you might find something that you really enjoy.
So much great advice here from Chris, Ainsley, and Brenden to give you a little bit of insight of what the 9th grade experience of LCTI would be like. So thanks a lot, everyone, and we'll see you on the next episode.